What is up everyone, and welcome to another installment of What If Your Favorite Anime Characters Were Pokémon. In case you haven't seen it before, this is a series where I try to come up with fitting moves, types, and abilities certain anime characters would have if they existed in the world of Pokémon. Today we're diving headfirst into what I consider to be not only one of the most visually stunning animated series ever, but also one of the most captivating stories that has taken the world by storm and become a contender for most popular anime of all time. As you might know though, I am but a mere anime enjoyer and have never been able to cross the barrier into the manga, so this video will only include characters that appear up to the end of Season 2's Entertainment District arc. There's also a few characters that I considered adding in, but we don't really have too much data about them yet, and I don't want to get into any spoilers for the manga, so don't forget to hit that like button if you're excited, and let's begin with the main character of this series, Tanjiro. Right from the get-go, Tanjiro was shown to be an incredible fighter, especially with a sword, making him at least half fighting type. Tanjiro learned the water breathing technique from a previous water Hashira and has been shown to know how to execute every single form of it, which I believe warrants him being at least half water type too. You might consider he should be water and fire, but at this point in the anime he's only learned one fiery technique, which you might notice is referenced on his moveset. But first we have Tanjiro's most noteworthy physical attribute, his insanely hard skull, hence his ability Rockhead and signature move being Head Smash. Tanjiro also possesses an extremely sharp sense of smell, though I feel like as the series progresses, this ability is mentioned less often, so I decided to fit him with Sacred Sword as an example of his exceptional swordsmanship. His main means of attack though is the aforementioned water breathing style, which has many forms that involve Tanjiro swinging his sword into consecutive water imbued slashes, or surging strikes if you will. Finally, we have the Hinokami Kagura, a unique breathing style whose name literally translates to Dance of the Fire God, making the move Fiery Dance a perfect stand-in for it. Next we have Tanjiro's younger sister Nezuko, whom he carries around in a little wooden box on his back because she's actually a demon! This unusual behavior for a demon, coupled with her human form acting so cute and friendly, makes Nezuko a fairy and dark type. When she first awakened her full demon form, Nezuko went absolutely berserk, fitting of the move Lash Out, but over time she's learned to control this power, so I feel like the fairy move Play Rough kind of encapsulates her overall combat style better. Her most frequent attack though is still just a good old kick to the head. The demon form isn't her only transformation though, as Nezuko can also turn small, but Minimize is kind of a gimmicky move in the Pokemon games, so considering the 4 move limit, I decided to go with Heal Pulse as we later discover Nezuko's ability to heal the wounds of others using her blood demon art. Now if you've seen how quickly Nezuko jumps out of her little box to help her brother out, then you know exactly why I chose Guard as her ability. In her demon form though, she appears to regenerate her limbs even faster than some upper ranks, so I went with an aptly named hidden ability to represent this. Next we have the fastest demon slayer alive, Zenitsu, who specializes in the thunder breathing technique, thus being a pure electric type. Before discussing any of his attacks, we have to talk about Zenitsu's unique fighting style, that being the fact that he only ever actually fights while he's asleep. Luckily, there's a Pokemon ability that does exactly that, as Comatose makes it so the Pokemon that has it is always drowsy but can still attack in its sleeping state. Likely due to the fact that he never actually wanted to become a demon slayer, Zenitsu only ever learned the first form of thunder breathing called Thunderclap and Flash, which is represented here by Wild Charge, since after using it, Zenitsu would often be left in low power mode, which I felt fit the recoil damage caused by this move. From the beginning, it was obvious that speed was Zenitsu's strongest trait, so a priority move like Extreme Speed was absolutely necessary on his moveset. In fact, speed is pretty much the only improvement he ever makes to his Thunderclap technique, allowing him to use it more and more times in succession, while augmenting the power and speed of his dashes, which are precisely the stats Shift Gear raises. Finally, we have Volt Tackle, representing the Godspeed variation of his Thunderclap and Flash, which is a much stronger version that can potentially render his legs useless if used too often. It's boring time! Is that not a thing Inosuke says? Excelling at both hand-to-hand combat and swordsmanship, the final member of our main demon slaying crew is a natural fit for the fighting type. though I considered making him half ground due to his exceptional digging skills and having grown up in the mountains. Inosuke has a unique pair of katana with jagged edges which he dual wields and most often uses to slash opponents in an X-shaped cut, much like the attack animations for the moves cross chop and X scissor. Believing he's the strongest fighter in any given situation makes Inosuke have a pretty big ego, and he's constantly seen taunting both foes and allies like Tanjiro, who he always calls the wrong name. But Inosuke's secret weapon is hiding underneath the boar mask, as he's actually a pretty boy in disguise. This revelation always seems to catch people off guard, which you could argue lowers their attack, like the move Charm. Many of his attacks can be a bit wild, plus he's known to have a short temper and rage at most people he comes across, so I settled on Outrage as his final move. You might be wondering why I went with the ability Limber, and that's because I learned it's actually called Flexible in Japanese, and Inosuke is known for being extremely flexible. We later learn he's also immune to poison, so his hidden ability will be Immunity. Of course, this bunch of demon fighting rascals couldn't get through all their adventures without some fuel in their system. And if you want to try some of the snacks Tanjiro and friends might have on their journeys through Japan, you're going to want to check out the sponsor of today's video. Immerse yourself in the breathtaking beauty of Japan's iconic cherry blossoms blooming under the moonlight with Sakurako and Tokyo Treat subscription snack boxes. This month's assortment of Japanese snacks and treats allow you to experience the essence of this cherished Japanese tradition and include some goodies only available during Sakura season. So be sure to sign up using the link in the description and use code MUNCHING to get $5 off your first box and enjoy some authentic and traditional Japanese snacks from the comfort of your own home. I think I'm going to start with Sakurako today because I'm feeling fancy. And of course, every Sakurako box comes with a little glassware, and this month we've got a nice teacup which we're going to use to try out this month's peach hibiscus tea with our yummy snacks. Considering how aesthetically pleasing this little bread is, we gotta go with it. I feel like there's parts that are strawberry and parts that's just sponge.
You're so happy.
Can you tell I like it? Now to wash it down, we got the hibiscus tea. Ooh, okay. Wow. I'm so bad at describing flavors of things. I guess my face says it all. It's like very gentle, flowery, but a little bit of hint of fruity. Next we got this Sakura sweet potato snack. I love sweet potato fries. I don't know if this is gonna be the same thing, but here we go. Oh. The first bite, I thought it was gonna be super duper sweet, but it's actually kind of subtle. Like, you get the sweet potato flavor and the sweetness, but overall, it's not overpowering. Like, it's really good. I had two sweet things, so I want to wrap it up with something more salty. So we got this Mame Mochi. That's good. That's a surprise hit.
Mac, you want a snack?
Of course, there are plenty more delicious snacks in the Sakurako box, but we got another box. This time I decided to save Tokyo Treat for last. The theme is Starlight Snack Fest. It's Demon Slayer. That's the video we're doing. So in the last box, I didn't get to show these off, but these premium Ghana chocolates might be the best chocolates I've ever had. They melted.
No!
I don't care if they're melted. They still taste so good, dude. Like, I love these chocolates. For the drink this month, we got some Kobe sparkling apple juice made from 100% Kobe apples. I guess they're not just known for their cows. Bruh, telling me Kobe apples are as good as the Kobe beef?
I can smell it.
This is the best apple juice I think I've ever had. Last one we're gonna do for this box seems to be the fanciest item in this Tokyo Treat. I'm saying that purely off the picture in the booklet. Like, tell me that doesn't look amazing. Dude, I opened it and already, whoa. Cherry cream is really, really good, but I feel like there might not be enough of it in there.
You just like sugar.
So, what is this? It looks like a little can of juice. If you want to find out, gonna have to get your own box. Use the code in the description to get $5 off your first order of Tokyo Treat or Sakurako. Now that we've covered all the main characters, it's time to get into some of the villains of this show, starting with the first major demon Tanjiro ever faced, which must have made Kyogai quite intimidating. I feel like all demons would be represented by dark type, which I think at this point most people know is called evil type in Japan, and demons yeah, they're kind of evil, so I went with dark and normal type for Kyogai, since in the grand scheme of things, the drum demon ended up being pretty mid. Kyogai has 6 Suzumi drums embedded within different parts of his body that, when played, have different effects on his surroundings. The drums on his shoulders and legs cause the room he's in to rotate, which to me seemed most similar to Trick Room, as when used it's famously described as the dimensions being twisted. Striking the drum on his navel allows Kyogai to create 3 claw-like slashes from thin air, which he uses as his main form of attack while spinning the room around. The drum on his back teleports Kyogai or anyone else into another room within his mansion, making the choice of teleport here kinda self-explanatory. And finally, Kyogai's secret weapon, he just starts drumming like a madman playing Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, which increases the power of all his techniques, kinda like how the move Belly Drum maxes out your attack. Not gonna lie, I kinda forgot this dude existed until making this video because he doesn't really show up all that much, but as the current water Hashira, Giyu would obviously be a water type, but you could argue he might also be half fighting as all the demon slayers really have insane combat skills, and it could be seen as a counter to the demon's dark typing. Like Tanjiro, his most frequently used attack looks like a series of water-infused slashes, but surging strikes could specifically reference the 4th form of water breathing, striking Tide, since they have similar names. The first form of water breathing, called Water Surface Slash, generates a powerful concentrated slash which sounds pretty much exactly like the move Aqua Cutter. I went with Dragon Dance as a stat raising move to highlight how strong he is being a Hashira, and because the 10th water breathing form, Constant Flux, literally summons a giant water dragon. Finally, we have Aqua Ring as a reference to Giyu's own creation, Dead Calm, where he ceases all body movements and surrounds himself with a barrier of water that deflects any incoming attacks. I couldn't really think of a fitting ability for this guy, so in the end I went with Torrent, but decided the hidden ability Zen Mode could also be a good representation of his Dead Calm technique, as it said he enters a state of complete tranquility while using it. The insect Hashira Shinobu feels like a perfect match for the bug type based off title alone, but in reality most of her moves involve poisoning her enemy, so I decided to go with a dual bug and poison type. Though not as strong as the other Hashira, Shinobu makes up for her lack of combat ability with immense skills in medicine, being able to counteract various poisons created by demons, just like the move Purify rids the target of any status ailments. Rather than forms, Shinobu refers to her various insect breathing techniques as dances, so I felt that the move Quiver Dance was a proper nod to that. Her main attack, the Butterfly Dance, has Shinobu strike her opponents multiple times while injecting them with poison, making Twin Needle a good characterization of her unique way of fighting. I considered Fell Stinger as her final move since her unique Nichirin sword is literally called Stinger, or maybe even Lunge as a similarly powerful single strike move, but neither of those have the potential to poison their target like Poison Jab can. Finally, Shinobu's ability, Serene Grace, not only describes her calm and friendly demeanor, but in Pokemon raises the chances of additional effects occurring, such as poisoning your target, which is kinda her whole deal. And finally, we have the first real threat our Demon Slayers faced off against. Rui gave us a scope of just how wicked and foul the demons of this series could get, with his creepy spider-like appearance and abilities making him a dark and bug type. Rui possessed a menacing aura that Tanjiro noted made the air feel thick and heavy, suiting of the Pokemon ability Dark Aura, which powers up other dark types like Rui's fake family. His Blood Demon art allowed Rui to create extremely sharp threads from his own flesh and manipulate them to slice and dice Demon Slayers and anyone else that dared oppose him. These threads were most often used to create a web-shaped cage that looked pretty close to the animation of Silk Trap. The main difference is this web of threads could be used to surround and cut his opponents to pieces, so as an attacking move, Fury Cutter definitely fits. I briefly mentioned his fake-ass spider family earlier, but the move Power Split can better explain what I mean, as it represents Rui's ability to share his power with other demons by making them drink his blood. This makes them gain Rui's pale appearance and sometimes spider-like features, like those seen with his brother and father. Finally, we have Night Slash as a more powerful version of Rui's threads, which he was able to infuse with his own blood to further amplify their strength and durability. Moving on to the Mugen Train arc, or more famously, the anime movie that broke pretty much every record imaginable, and its main antagonist Enmu is basically an anime version of Freddy Krueger, being able to enter your dreams and kill you. Though Enmu might lack in physical strength, he possesses very powerful hypnotic abilities and can even summon weird tentacle things, which seemed most fitting with the psychic typing. Enmu's Blood Demon arc grants him the ability to force anyone into deep sleep through a few different means, but his main form of hypnosis is achieved by creating a mouth on the back of his hand, which, upon saying the words "go to sleep," instantly forces the target to go night-night. His secondary ability is the power to enter, manipulate, and control someone else's dreams. And while these are usually happy dreams, they can quickly turn into a nightmare. His other form of hypnosis is through these eye tentacles I mentioned earlier that, when looked upon, cause the target to fall asleep. Mean Look doesn't exactly put enemies to sleep, but the eye motif, along with the tentacles also being able to trap you, seem doubly fitting. Now, I briefly mentioned this dude was somehow able to fuse his body with a frickin' train, which made Wicked Torque oddly fitting. Once separated from the Mugen Train though, Enmu was basically helpless in hand-to-hand combat, so the no guard ability was a no-brainer. But of course, Enmu wasn't the final boss of this mission, as Akaza revealed himself to be the first true upper-ranked demon to face off against our heroes. In complete opposition to Enmu, this demon specializes in hand-to-hand combat, making him a dark and fighting type. Having reached the upper ranks of the 12 Kazuki means Akaza likely received an extra dose of blood from the Demon King Muzan, granting him extraordinary regenerative abilities. Akaza's main ability though is a reference to his compass needle, which enables him to sense a person's fighting spirit and exploit their weaknesses, similar to how anticipation warns a Pokemon of the enemy's strongest move. Akaza initiates his technique by taking a unique stance that powers up his other abilities, so I chose Work Up since it boosts both physical and special attacks. His Blood Demon art has several types, all centered around martial arts, but specifically in his battle against Rengoku, he was mostly seen punching super duper fast, so you know close combat had to serve as an example of this. Akaza can also create shockwaves in the air to attack enemies from afar and keep them away as he powers up. He can also punch the air directly in front of him to create more targeted shockwaves, which looks similar to the move Arrow Blast. And finally, we have the dark type move Wicked Blow, which is guaranteed to land critical hits. I think fans of Demon Slayer will know exactly what this cruel move represents. Oh man, I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about this next character. Rengoku is the Flame Hashira, making him a clear candidate for the Fire type. But just like with the Water Hashira, you could imagine him as half fighting type, as he's demonstrated incredible proficiency with his katana. Many of the fire-breathing forms involve the user swinging their blade in a circular motion as they generate fire from their blade, which sounds like a fire spin to me. The first form specifically involves the user charging towards their target at high speeds, fitting with the fact the move Flame Charge raises your speed. Just like with Giyu, I struggled to choose just 4 moves for Rengoku, so once again I ended up going with Dragon Dance because, in the anime at least, his most powerful technique takes the form of a rampaging flaming dragon. But of course, Dragon Dance doesn't actually do damage, so the proper attacking form of this move would be best represented by one of the most powerful fire moves, Flare Blitz. Rengoku is probably the most cheerful, pure-hearted character in this whole show, and though he might not specifically call it justice, I feel this ability fits his refusal to die against the demon Akaza, even seeming to grow stronger the more beat up he got, which makes Blaze equally fitting as a hidden ability. And finally, we have the Entertainment District arc, appropriately named because in my opinion it's the most entertaining season yet, with the introduction of awesome characters like Tengen. As a former shinobi, the dark type seemed most fitting for Tengen, though again you could consider half fighting to show his skills in combat and swordsmanship. As the Sound Hashira though, he should really be a sound type Pokemon, but that doesn't quite exist in any official games, so. Moving on to his first move, if you've heard this man talk even once, you'll quickly learn his favorite word is flashy. In Pokemon battles, the move Flash is kinda useless though, so as an actually damaging move, Dazzling Gleam could fit his fighting style better. Tengen's main weapons are a pair of cleavers tied together with a chain, which he most often spins rapidly around him to destroy anything in his circumference, similar to how the move Rapid Spin can destroy entry hazards on the field. With a name like Ceaseless Edge, this move was basically tailor-made for Tengen since he's always trying to look so cool. Besides his cleavers though, this ninja master also carries with him exploding beads that will detonate with the slightest amount of friction, and uses them in combination with his blades to create a dazzling display of destruction complete with bombastic sound effects fitting of the ultimate move, Boom Burst. And since he's always boasting and literally calls himself a god, I feel Tengen is truly worthy to receive the Moxie ability. As creative as Tengen's 3 wives were, they didn't exactly do enough for me to create a full moveset for them. So we're moving on to the antagonist of this final arc, another upper rank demon known as Daki. Despite being the lowest of the upper ranks, she was still incredibly formidable with her Blood Demon art, which allowed Daki to create deadly sashes from her flesh and manipulate them at will. These sashes are noted to be soft like silk, yet sharp as a sword, making slash her primary way of attacking with them. She's able to control these sashes from extremely far distances, so the ability Long Reach feels like a proper depiction of her ability to sever enemies from far, far away. Her sashes also have a unique property that allow her to trap objects inside of them. These were usually humans she was saving for a midnight snack, so the move stockpile seemed appropriate. Perhaps her only downfall were Daki's many childish and aggressive tendencies, as she was frequently seen throwing tantrums or lashing out when called out. But of course, Daki had a dark secret hiding deep inside of her. And when all hope seemed lost, she baton passed the fight over to her brother, whose whole body was somehow hiding inside her. Don't ask. The final character for today's video is the true upper rank 6 demon. Gyutaro has the ability to produce extremely lethal poison from his body, making him a dark and poison type. But rather than giving him the ability Poison Touch as you might expect, I thought Merciless better fit his unforgiving personality and just sounds way deadlier. Gyutaro's special ability allows him to manipulate his blood in various ways, but he mainly uses it to create a pair of hardened blood sickles coated in poison with which he hacks and intoxicates opponents much like cross poison. With his rampant arc Rampage, Gyutaro creates a dome of solidified blood blades around him that deflect incoming attacks, making the move Baneful Bunker a perfect parallel for this special technique. As a salute to that time he literally stabbed Tanjiro right in the throat, we have Throat Chop. And as a final desperate move, Gyutaro somehow managed to unleash a massive explosion of blood from his body that truly left this pair of sad, sadistic siblings dead in the dirt. And that's all for now, folks. Though at the beginning of this video I mentioned that the newest season of Demon Slayer just recently started airing, and it seems like there are quite a few new characters I could end up adding to this list. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet and hit that notification bell to keep up with all my future videos. And don't forget to check out the sponsor Sakurako or Tokyo Treat with the link in the description. I genuinely look forward to getting these snack boxes every month because 1, I love snacks, and 2, I love Japan, and have always dreamed of visiting but haven't quite gotten around to it, so it's pretty cool getting a taste of their unique flavors and culture delivered right to my door every month. So be sure to use code MUNCHING to get $5 off your first purchase, and let me know what snacks you like the most. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.